What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion, and it's chain and sprocket time. So it's chain and sprocket time on our Panigale V2, and it's a little different than the other bikes that we usually work on because other than the V4Rs, everything else that I could remember comes with a 525 chain, and then when you switch to a 520 conversion kit, there's massive gains in terms of weight savings, usually around 2 to 3 pounds, which is quite a bit of weight to take off your drivetrain. But in this case, this bike comes with a 520 chain, and we're gonna swap it with another 520 chain, which is our DID ERV7 chain. It's a good time to see if this chain actually is lighter than a 520 chain that this already comes with. I think it's lighter, but it's also much stronger. The tensile strength of this chain is higher than what's on the factory. Even if it was a 525 chain, the tensile strength of this is higher. In terms of our rear sprocket setup, so we're gonna go with our Ducabike carrier, and we're gonna use a silver sprocket carrier nut, which goes right in here. And our sprocket nut's gonna be Pro-Tie titanium silver ones, and they go onto these ones, which go onto the cush drives that hold the sprocket in place. We have our Ducabike safety nut that's in black. And then finally, we're gonna use our favorite rear sprockets, which is the Sitta rear sprocket. This is an aluminum sprocket with a dura-aluminum coating on it. It's different than the stock one, obviously, because the stock one is steel and this one is aluminum. It's gonna save weight, and also because of the coating that it has, this one lasts longer than a regular aluminum sprocket. But it's always good to note, regardless of what that sprocket is made of, you're gonna get the most miles out of a sprocket if you keep up with your chain maintenance. What is that? Your tension and the cleanliness of your chain. But I'm excited to put everything on. Let's get started, and then I'm gonna weigh things as we go along just to see how much weight we saved when we change the 520 sprocket with other lightweight 520 sprocket items. So the stock chain is weighing 4.06 pounds. I don't know if that's light or not. Let's take a look. Let's get this oily chain out of here. And this is our DID ERV7 chain. Remember, both are 520 chains. And I put even the packaging, guys. There you go. It's weighing at 3.508. So half a pound lighter and stronger, so that's a win-win. And let's pull that rear sprocket out, and then let's see. I'm gonna weigh the complete assembly together, and then we'll put the assembly together for everything that we're changing, and then we'll put them on our scales as well. But so far, half a pound without even going down a size in chain is pretty good in my books. Let's continue on. So here's our complete rear sprocket assembly. It's 4.96 pounds. And usually on the builds, we change our cush drives to the titanium cush drives. For this build, it's not about a budget thing, but I want to do things that I see people do. Usually on the Panigale V2, does it make sense to put the cush drives? Probably. Does it save weight? Yes, it does. But let's try to see when we swap things over without swapping the cush drives of how much weight we can save, because I'm pretty confident that our new setup's going to be much lighter. We already saved half a pound with the chain. Let me put together the parts that we're going to put on together all in one piece, and then we'll put it on our scales and we'll see how much weight we've saved with just our sprocket setup, and then we'll add the chain and we'll get the total savings. So our new setup is already torqued together, and this is our sprocket carrier nut by Ducabike. We have the Ducabike carrier, our Pro-Tie titanium nuts, and our Sitta sprocket. Let's see what this all weighs. It's weighing at 3.44 pounds. The stock setup, if you remember, for the same parts was 4.96 pounds. That's over 1.5 pounds of savings. And with our chain put together, that's over 2 pounds of savings, guys, and that's quite a bit of weight. I wasn't expecting to save 2 pounds when we went from the stock 520 setup to a lighter weight 520 setup. And let's not forget, our chain is actually stronger in terms of tensile strength. So what are we trying to achieve when we're saving all this weight? It's not just the static weight of the bike, guys. The rear swing arm moves up and down, so that's unsprung weight. It's going to affect the handling of the bike. Are you going to feel 2 pounds or less weight in the back? Maybe if you're a pro rider, but in theory, it's going to handle better. And furthermore, we're saving weight off the rotating mass of the bike. So let's say if this bike is making 100 horsepower at the crank, what you get at the wheel is not 100 horsepower, obviously, right? Because there is parasitic losses that's happening by the time that horsepower goes from the crank to the rear tire to the ground. 2 pounds is quite a bit of weight to save off that rotating mass. It means that we're going to lose a lot less power, so there's going to be a lot less parasitic losses. This is pretty cool. 2 pounds. I'm really happy. Let's get this on the bike because it also is going to look amazing on the bike. Well, Captain Hook right here. So guys, before I put my sprocket back on the bike, I want to show you the inner workings of your rear eccentric hub. So what does that mean? Eccentric means that the axle here is not exactly in the center of the hub, right? It's pushed to one side. And what does that achieve? That's when this comes in handy. So when you put everything together, this tool is your chain tension tool on a Ducati, and it's a lot easier to explain. This will hook onto the eccentric as you see. So if you go spin this around, you can see that if this gets closer to the front wheel, meaning if the wheelbase gets shorter, you're going to be putting less tension on the chain. And then if you pull this further back, meaning that if you stretch your wheelbase, you're going to put more tension on your chain. What is this supposed to be? It's right here on your swing arm. We haven't taken the sticker off yet, and if we ever do, we always put it under the seat so that we have that information available. So now you know how this magical rear eccentric hub works on the Ducati single-sided bikes. It's the same on all of their single-sided bikes, and this is the little tool that you need for the chain tension. But let's get this on the bike. I'm really, really excited to see what it all looks like once it's put together. Everything's on the bike. I haven't torqued the rear wheel yet. I'm going to do it once I lower the bike and I get this stand off of it. I want to first make sure that the chain is on there, the slack of the chain, so the tension of the chain is set right, and the specs for it is right here as I mentioned. So let me quickly go over the tools that I use to get this done. Obviously we use the wrenches and torque wrenches and all that stuff, but I mean the specialty tools that we use. We have our TWM wheel remover tool. So this actually takes the wheel nut off, and then on this side, it will take your sprocket carrier nut off. And for the wheel side, it has this little bushing thing that goes inside, because if you didn't know, the axle hole on your left side and right side are not the same. The right side is larger, the left side is smaller, where you remove this to get this sprocket nut out. And this also works on the front wheel as well, so you could take the front wheel nut off. Just a quick word of caution, never use an impact tool on this. It's aluminum, and also these beautiful nuts that we use are aluminum. You don't want to put an impact on it. Even to take off the sprocket nuts or your wheel nuts, always use just something that gives you leverage so that you don't destroy this, nor that you destroy your beautiful nuts on the bike. To set the tension, we use this little hook piece. This is the chain tension tool by TWM. And then to check the tension, I love this tool. This is the slack setter by Motion Pro. What you do is that in here, it exactly shows us where to check the tension. I'll put my kickstand down, and it's this point over here. So what you want to do is that you want to bring this up so it knows this measurement, and go all the way up and move it all the way down. And this will give you a reading in millimeters, which is right here. And it's also measured in millimeters for the factory spec over here. You'll see that it has all of it marked. Makes it super easy. Otherwise, you're going to have to get yourself a little tape measure that's in millimeters and try to measure going up and down. It's not hard, but this makes it much easier and much more precise. And also, it kind of gets you away from getting your hands dirty when you are doing this stuff. It's a really, really cool little tool that I love using. And for the tools that I use to break the chain and also put the chain back together, I use two different tools. You really don't need to, but in this case, I have them available, and I like one thing that one of them does more than the other. So in this case, we have our Motion Pro PBR chain tool. This is press, break, rivet. That's what PBR means. I love the functionality when it comes to breaking a chain with this. It has the handle so you could hold it while you're trying to torque down on your wrench and break the chain. It makes it much easier. And then for pressing and riveting, the DID chain tool, there's nothing as easy as this. It's really almost foolproof. I don't want to say it's foolproof, but it's almost foolproof. It makes things easier. In an ideal world, you would have both. But if not, if you need just one tool to do it, you could just grab one of these and then you could just grind your old chain off, which a lot of people do. But I'd rather not use power tools where I don't have to, because that leaves us for not having any injuries or any possibility of an injury, just in case, you know, the grinding disc breaks or something else happens. So those are all the tools that we use to put this beautiful chain and sprocket setup together. Saved over 2 pounds, and there you go. So some of you guys are always skeptical about the 520 chains that we do on our big boy bikes. I want to call those the Panigale V4s, the S1000s, all our leader bikes. This is almost a leader bike. This is the baby Panigale, but we still save 2 pounds off our drivetrain with this setup. It's beautiful, and I want to take this time to let you guys know that a lot of you guys are watching our videos, and I'm really thankful for it, but there seems like a lot of you guys are not subscribed. It would really help us with the algorithm of YouTube if you just hit that subscribe button below. It would really, really, really help us out for getting this content out to you guys and out to the people that have not seen it. But I think that's it for this episode, guys. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one.